Anybody take your shot?
For me, being a mother is seeing parts of yourself that you may not have been aware of, but when they show up, you're like, oh, that's me. But you, because you know it's you, you're now, or at least I am now trying to work on those parts of me that maybe I see and I am not so proud of. But it's out of love that I'm, working on those parts of me.
That's good.
I think for me, and I am a very new mom, so I'm learning a lot about this, but it's the call to really be the hands of Jesus to very needy people who are needy 24/7, 365. And I often think as I'm changing diapers about Jesus washing his disciples' feet, and just that call to serve at 2 a.m., at 12 a.m., all day long. But I'm not Jesus, I'm a sinner. And so I think, like you said, just the call to grow in the fruit of the Spirit, that I need to be growing in patience and repentance and joy and modeling that for my kids.
Busy moms can avoid burnout the same way everybody can avoid burnout, by sitting at the feet of Jesus. Although I don't want to be too, predictable, but I just think about the story in the Bible of Mary and Martha, and how Mary chose the better thing, to sit at the feet of Jesus, even though there was much to be done. And then realizing that that's where your strength is going to come from. That's where the energy to endure, that's where Jesus will multiply your time and your efforts. So the things that you didn't think you had enough time to take out, to sit with Jesus to do, he can say, no, you'll do that and then some. And then you'll have the joy that comes with being at the feet of Jesus. You'll have the strength to endure that comes from being at the feet of Jesus that you need. I just think mothers, because we have so many roles and so many people saying, I need you, and we are their source at times, that we get booby-trapped into thinking that we have to do it when we can't do it. It is the impossible thing, like the sermon reminded us, and that we have to seek Jesus to do any of it, because he's the one who's actually doing it. We're just going along for the ride.
I'd say also just say no. There are many things, just because there's a million options out there with things to do with your kids, you don't have to do them all. Amen. So decide at the feet of Jesus what the priorities are for your family and for your kids, and what's really good for them. Some of which is just being a kid and having fun and playing and not having some set schedule. So just say no to things that aren't necessary.
I'll take that one. Recognizing that you're setting an example, and because you have little people who are constantly have their eyes fixed on you, and they see things that you don't even think that they see, that you're setting an example of how they ought to care for themselves. So it's not just about you caring for yourself, but modeling that for our children, so that they know what it means to care for yourself, and recognizing boundaries that we need to have, not just in our families, but with other people, so that we're guarding what's most important in our lives.
Okay, I'm at the point of motherhood where self-care looks like getting to go to the bathroom by myself for like 2 minutes without anybody barging in. So I would add to that, knowing when you need self-care. So knowing whatever those signs are to you, whether it's you're snippy, whether you're crying, whatever that is, having a community that you can just say, please, can I just give you my kids for an hour? I need to take a nap, I need to take a walk, I need to get a pedicure, I need to do something for me. And I think also just realizing it's a season. There are so many seasons of motherhood that are intense in different ways, but just recognizing that this season will pass.
Yeah, that's good. For me, I am in a place of, my kids are a little more older, self-sufficient. Yes, I'm a taxi cab driver and all of that, but I recently realized that I just gave up myself to be the wife and the mom, and so I'm now learning what I like, and being able to say, no, I don't think I want to do this, or I think I do like this, and being separate from my children. Like, I am not them, I'm their mom. I've been a stay-at-home mom for 17 years, like literally at home. And I love it. I wouldn't trade it, but it takes some stepping back to realizing, I am not them. I'm in that process. So I don't know. I'm in that process. So maybe somebody else.
I think that's tough because in order for you to make room to pursue dreams, in order for me to do that, I have to believe them. And I think that's the hardest thing. I think what Kristen was getting at, like you start to become the things you do instead of believe the things you are. And you have to believe what God says, what He has promised you. And when you really get that in the heart, like He's told you, when you've really decided that I am going to trust and believe, then I think it moves those mountains, it moves those obstacles, and it puts everything into focus so that you can learn about yourself, that you can grow and mature in those ways and become everything that God has called you to be, and that those dreams will come into fruition if we allow Him to just order those steps and focus in that direction, and not thinking it has to look like anything in particular.
You actually touched on it this morning, to know that, I'm their mom, I love them, but God loves them more. God cares for their salvation even more than I do. He has a plan for them better than mine. To know that I'm frail, I'm human, I will fail. I'm not the Messiah, but Jesus is. So to show yourself some grace and pray and know that you're not perfect. It's never going to happen.
My encouragement to Liz, those years fly by. Like, I didn't, like, it seemed like yesterday people were like, they're not going to be little for long. They're not going to be, and I was like, yeah, right. And then I woke up and I have tweens, and one is getting ready to take driving courses in school, and I'm like, wait. And so it does get, every level has a different devil, but it does get easier. So that's my encouragement, because I thought I would never come out of it. It's like a fog, though, but it does get easier.
I don't know if easier is the word. It gets different. I do remember when my kids were little, it was like, when is nap time? I need like an hour, like you said, to go to the bathroom by myself. But it is very quick. I remember an older lady who's now like my age, saying to me when my kids were little, "This is the best time of your life. It's so sweet. Please cherish it." I was like, "I'm tired." But you know, maybe you're less tired when they get older. But there's other worries. There's dating and driving, and then they go to college, and what are they being taught there? And there's always something. So I guess the point is always to just be praying for them, growing yourself in the Lord, and that your kids are not who you are, like you said earlier, that I need to be who Jesus wants me to be. I pray for them for the same for them, but they're not my identity. They can't be my identity because that will fail me too.
By recognizing that there's nothing new. Jesus was a blended family. And that a blended family doesn't create new issues. It just exaggerates existing ones. So if you keep that in mind and that you're not alone in it, it's not some bizarre, unique monster, but it is a beautiful representation of how Jesus himself came into this world and how we are grafted in. And it's just a constant, beautiful reminder of just the Father's love for us and how his love, how we can be partakers and projectors of that love inside of a family unit per se, however that unit may look. But it doesn't make us bastards. It doesn't make us less than, but it does make us uniquely loved.
I feel like I'm talking a lot. I want to say too, having been a child in a blended family, that kids don't know that. It's just what it is. So don't worry about that as a mom.
Well, I think probably for all of us, our deepest hope is that our children would grow up to be passionate lovers of Jesus Christ, who know how to work hard, who know how to love other people, who are concerned about justice and mercy, who are the fruit of the Spirit, no matter what they do, whether they collect garbage for a living or are an engineer, that they just love Jesus.
What I hope people know about motherhood is it doesn't come with instructions.
And the babies never read the books.
Right. And, excuse me, I was like, with my firstborn, I was textbook. Like, she has to take a nap, she has to eat, she has to, and then by the time you get to number two, you know, it's like, and it's okay because like they survive. But I think we put a lot of pressure on ourselves, making sure we get it right, and right is, as long as they are not neglected and abused and things like that, then right is what you see fit for your family. I hope people see in me, my mother passed when I was 11. And so God put a lot of different people in my life that, you know, spoke to me and showed me how to do this thing, but still, there's nothing like it when you're in it. But take some, you know, don't put pressure on yourself. Make it what you know, and God has designed for your family, not, you know, what other people are doing for their family.
Yeah, I think Crystal what she just said in the end is the marker. I think too many times, particularly in the church, we do a job of shaming mothers when it doesn't look a certain way, as if it has an instruction booklet and there's a pass or fail they live in. And even when they're not, that's not a failure either. That we can't do anything to disrupt God's story for their lives. And so in that, to walk in that freedom and that liberty that Jesus has given us, that everybody's journey is going to look a little different, because everybody's family makeup is a little bit different. Everybody's spouse partakes differently. So, and the demands on your family are going to be different. So, of course, how that plays out in your life is going to look different, and it's going to you do what makes sense for you and your family, because that's going to change every day, and particularly in every season. So, just walking in the liberty that Jesus has given us is the most important thing, because that's hard. That's that guilt that plagues us and will keep us bound, but that's not going to help them. It's not going to help us. So.
I want to say one more thing too. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Like postpartum and all of that is real, and you know, don't be afraid to ask for help. Like period, because you're going to need it.
And along with that, if you're willing to provide help, ask how you can help multiple times. Because it could be that that day is a good day, but then the next week is not a good week. And it can be hard when you are in the fog of it to remember who volunteered to help. So, I mean, moms need church. And that's really hard for moms to have, especially my season of life with little kids who are like sick every other week. But we still need fellowship. We still love to provide fellowship, if you don't mind mess and being interrupted like 20 times with a question in the middle of a conversation. But we need the church, and we need to be the church.
Well, I guess this is more for expecting, and the expectation has not been realized, that it is God's time. My journey was unique in conceiving, and that God's timing is perfect, and it doesn't make you less of a mother. It doesn't make you less of a woman. And the Bible is just, it has two great examples of Elizabeth and Sarah, who had to wait a little bit longer than most. But even if that doesn't become part of your story in that way, that you are still a mother, you still have influence of a mother in people's lives, and never devalue yourself beyond what Jesus has.
Yeah, I would say, again, that to show yourself grace, you're not going to be perfect. You're going to be tired, you're going to lose your temper, you're going to cry. So just show yourself some grace, especially in those early years when it's so intense. But the other thing is, from Psalm, I'm a spiritual one for the Bible. This is Psalm 127. Behold, children are a heritage from the Lord, the fruit of the womb a reward. Like arrows in the hand of a warrior are the children of one's youth. The purpose of arrows in the hand of a warrior is not to be staying in the quiver, but to be shot out. And so always know with your kids that the purpose of it is not to hold them close to you and keep them where you want them to be, but the purpose is for them to be shot out into the Lord's world, Lord's kingdom. And so that should be the goal from the start, as dear as they are to you. The point is not to hold on to them, but to send them out.
New and expecting mothers. I guess each pregnancy is different. Each child will be different. If you're married, give grace to your spouse. He is new to this as well, perhaps, if it's your first child together, but he is new to this as well, and, those like 3 a.m. feedings, he's probably might not get up. Have grace, and you're the mom, so you're always on, but that's okay. Yeah, ditto to what the other young ladies said before me. You will learn to forgive your parents for the expectation that you thought, and you have no idea what you're getting into.
Well, if anyone would like to come over for tea and experience it, I'm welcome. I'm more than happy to talk about this on length. But I would say a couple of things that have encouraged me. One is labor and delivery is painful, but it is possible to grow in relationship with Christ in the midst of that. And in relationship with your husband in the midst of that pain as you rely on Jesus. And I think that was something that encouraged me to hear from other women, so just wanted to say that. I will also say, since this is a mostly grown-up audience, that intimacy with your husband can still be good after having kids. Which is also an encouragement to me, and you need it, even though it's hard. So lock your door sometimes, and you need that, and it can be good. I will also say, first couple months, hard, really hard. So lean into your community. And then the last thing I would say, just as a new mom, is that if you are like me and your relationship with Christ was measured before by the pages in your journal and the hours spent with your open Bible and just, a cup of coffee, it's not going to look like that. And it's okay. And so, just like any relationship, find a way to connect with Christ when you're exhausted at 2 a.m. You can pray the alphabet attributes of God. Like, do whatever you need to do to connect with Christ, and it's going to look different. My journal is only halfway through, and it's been 2 years. It's a season. So connect with Christ in this season.
Well, let's give our ladies, our mothers, a hand for serving our panel. This was so awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much. That was wonderful. So,